Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, and London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Africa, you know we love the Big C tribe, but there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful October 19th, 2018. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, I woke up this morning with that itch to go hunting, after we had that duck episode on the show yesterday.
Yeah.
But I walked outside, it was kind of chilly, and I didn't have on enough skivvies. So I got back in the Escalade, and I went down to Chinatown. And they had some Peking duck already hanging in the windows. I got some Peking duck, some coconut buns.
Wow.
And I didn't tell anybody I didn't catch it.
That's so funny. I thought they'd taken them down in Chinatown because POTUS was going by grabbing all the ducks, Big C. They wanted to make sure he at least paid for them first, Big C. He also doesn't have a problem with that. I do want to say so much is going on in the sports universe. From high school football, Big C's Friday Night Lights. We got a high school football all over the country. And we have college football. They're kicking off. Even some teams started tonight, but most of them on Saturday. Of course, there's the NFL. Big C, we're still looking at the hunt for Red October. Them good old boys from Beantown Gaddon first. Will it be the Dodgers? Or will it be Milwaukee hanging on for one more game? And then, of course, there's nothing like the NFL. I do want to say this segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Big C, I'm telling you, did you find the duck? Was it seasoned the way you like it, though, Big C? Or was it dry duck? Everybody's different with their culture, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this Peking duck is excellent and succulent.
Yep.
But the thing that takes it over the top is the coconut buns from the bakery next door.
Wow.
I mean, they come out, they never stay cold. I mean, they're always warm coming out of the oven because there's always a line for these fresh, succulent coconut buns. They're juicy, they're moist, Charlton.
Yeah.
They're sweet. And to go along with that Peking duck, Charlton, I was wondering why I gained 5 pounds a day. But I figured it out after I woke up.
Hey, well, we're happy to hear that Big C's working all fine. Everything's working good on the inside. Big C, Friday night, it goes back to the days when everybody was just starting to feel themselves. I remember growing up in California, they had a thing called Pop Warner football and then Pee Wee League football, and that was big time for the little kids before they got into junior high school and high school, playing high school football. I want to take you, as we run down every week, we will hear homage to where it all began. The high school top 10 football teams in the country, according to Big C Sports. #1, St. John Bosco, Bellflower, California. #2, Allen, Texas. #3, St. John's of Washington, D.C. And #4, Miami Central. Big C, Miami's located in the southern part of Florida. Are they called Miami Central from Central Florida or Central Miami? I just want to make sure you understand, Big C, your thoughts.
Well, everybody's kind of confused with Miami. Everybody wants to say South Beach.
Yeah.
But, it's just like with the Miami Dolphins. They play in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
The Miami Heat play downtown. They say Miami plays in Fort Lauderdale. So I think there's a little confusion with the logistics of that statement. You just put Miami, everybody thinks that it's in South Beach, and it's not.
Yeah, that's true, Big C. #5 on the West Coast, modern day Santa Ana, last year's national champion. They were knocked off last week by #1, St. John Bosco, out of Bellflower, California. #6, IMG Academy, out of Bradenton, Florida. #7, St. Francis Academy, out of Maryland. Big C, do you think POTUS pays homage to the high school teams? Did he take any time to, he doesn't have to take Air Force One to a school in Maryland, but maybe he would, Big C. Does he attend the games to show his support, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I'm talking about, I don't think he's backing high school fundamentals, when you look at it.
Yep.
He's not one to get out and praise the young kids. He's not one that, if it's not a golf game that he's involved in, Charlton, that's the only thing that he knows that's affiliated with sports.
Yeah, that's probably true. Plus, there are a lot of black kids, so I doubt if he'll throw his support that way, Big C. #8, Centennial, Corona, California. That's Vontez Burfict School. Vontez Burfict, probably the dirtiest player in the NFL. If not, he's like #2. #9, Colquitt County, Georgia. Them good old boys down south. Number 10, Concord de La Salle out here in Northern California, the Bay Area. That rounds out the high school football's Big C's top 10 teams. We hope that everybody will enjoy high school football this weekend. We know everybody spends time in Big C focused on college football and, of course, the NFL. But we want to just say, I want to get your thoughts on what message would you send out to the high school kids. Oftentimes, many players will never even play in college. Big C, your thoughts?
I think one of the greatest things you can take away from high school football is the fundamentals of the game. I think that's lost in so many scenarios now, Dalton, because all these high school players try to emulate what they see on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
But they don't understand that the guys that are playing on Saturday and Sunday, capitalize on the fundamentals of the game, Dalton. It wasn't about looks. It's about how you play, how you stay within the scheme of coaching. Camaraderie, though, is the number one thing. Learning how to depend and support, depend on others and support others, Dalton. To work as a cohesive unit. This is the number one thing for high school kids because, as you mentioned, regardless of how many high school kids out there, Jonathan, there's 125 major college programs.
Yeah.
That's it, 125. Yes, there are 4 different levels of college football, Division 1 AA, Division 2, 3, and even junior college.
Yeah.
But none of that, Charlton, equates to the number of high schools out there. If you look at any particular city, Charlton, you're going to have dozens of high school teams in some major metropolitan areas. You don't have that many number of colleges, Charlton. So deal with the fundamentals of education, regardless of how good you are as an athlete. You still need a GPA to get into college.
That's very...
Your athleticism won't get you there alone. I played with some tremendous athletes in high school, that I always felt could have played pro ball.
Yeah.
But they would not go to class.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about just football, wrestling. We had some All-American wrestlers that wouldn't go to class and couldn't get a scholarship.
Yeah.
Football players, Charlton, that you knew were better than you.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't go to class.
Yeah.
And so that's the number one thing in working in camaraderie and, understanding what a coach's platform is having an education so it translates.
Yep, that's very good advice, salient advice from Big C. You young kids out there in high school, thinking you're going to be the next one to make it to the college level and also go pro, you got to hit the books. Big C, speaking of hitting, last night, Major League Baseball welcomed in the first participant for the World Series. Them good boys from Beantown, the Boston Red Sox, they eliminated last year's defending World Series champion, the Houston Astros, 4-1 to advance to the World Series. With the best record in baseball, Big C, they won 115 games entering into this series. Give me your thoughts on what happened last night, and then we're looking forward to next week, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the surprise of last night was David Price being able to pitch 6 scoreless innings for the Sox.
Yeah.
Here's a guy that had a troubled playoff career, Charlton. He's been fantastic during the regular season, but coming to the playoffs, he just hasn't been able to find the groove. But last night, going 6 scoreless innings, first versus Verlander for Houston, Charlton, was a tremendous feat and a big boost for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
But you look at the Red Sox, Charlton, things have gone to script with them. That's how you got to look at with the Red Sox. They've won all the road games that they've played here in the postseason.
That's amazing.
And you think about that, you got to give a lot of credit to the manager, Charlton, of this team because he's been, pulling the right strings to get everybody in the right scenario.
Yep.
And managers don't get enough credit. And that's what you have to look at here with Boston, Charlton, is that they're a team that can go on the road. They're not worried about home field advantage, Charlton. All they want to do is get on the mound.
Yep.
And winning 115 games going into the World Series,
wow.
What a tremendous feat.
I think that's incredible. For the people in Boston, they've been in 4 World Series over the last decade and a half, so I think going back to the early 2000s, the Red Sox have been in there. There was a time they couldn't get there at all. And when you think about what's happening tonight with the LA Dodgers and they're facing the Milwaukee Brewers on the road in Milwaukee, it's a really tense town. It's a tense situation in Milwaukee. You look at the Dodgers with a 3-2 series lead, and that game got, just first pitch just went underway just a while ago, Big C. And I just want to get your thoughts with the Dodgers being a dominant team, especially on the West Coast. The Brewers were the dominant team. A lot of people thought they were the best team going into the playoffs. But right now, momentum's a funny thing. It's kind of like a relationship. You got to ride that wave, Big C, but sometimes that wave stops and you can't win anymore. how will the intensity of this game tonight, will it be too much pressure from Milwaukee, or will it be let everything go, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they're going to have to let it all go. And you think about the potential MVP, Christian Yelich, who's only had 3 hits in this series.
Yeah,
Charlton. He is the straw that serves the drink for the Milwaukee Brewers. Their pitching staff, Charlton, has done a decent job against the Giants, but against the Dodgers, but they just haven't had any hitting.
Yeah.
The Dodgers are trying to make back-to-back World Series for the first time since 77 and 78.
Yep.
So they go back 40 years, Charlton, trying to make back-to-back World Series.
Yeah.
And, when you look at the dynamics of this, they've gone on the road and beat Milwaukee at home. That's what you have to do to make it to a championship series, Charlton.
Yeah.
And right now they have the momentum, and Milwaukee has their backs up against the wall in this game in Milwaukee tonight.
Yeah, you think about it, the L.A. Dodgers, I'm sure they brought a lot of wine out there to go with that cheese. Right now, I just got to say, everybody in the sports universe is very happy, getting ready for football, high school football, college football. It's like the sweet Vibranium pretzel. It's all tangled up, but it sure tastes good, Big C. I wonder if they had that. Was it Randy's Donuts down in L.A., Big C, that you went up there, you bought up all the donuts? Is that what the right place was, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, Randy's Donut with that maple bacon bar, Charlton, I mean, it will make you slap yourself. I'm serious. and you look around saying, what's wrong with you?
Oh, that's funny.
But, you talk about something delectable, get yourself a nice cappuccino to go with that, Charlton.
Yeah.
You're in heaven. That's like having Macbeth and those coconut buns.
Well, I tell you what, I hear this in restaurants up north. They're serving Vibranium pretzels, the best thing you've ever had on this side of the universe, Big C. I'm telling you, there's something about this time of year. If you love sports, this is like it's not even, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like opening that Christmas present that you want to open. Like, Big C, what do you want for Christmas? I want some more Vibranium pretzels. And speaking of Vibranium, if the Dodgers can get it past this game tonight, I know Robert is saying they got to treat it like a Game 7. Do they put too much pressure on themselves to close out? Because if it gets to a Game 7, that's like letting that tide go away, Big C. Your thoughts on the Dodgers?
Well, Charlton, you can't put too much pressure on yourself in this situation when you're up 3-2. The game is yours to lose.
Yeah.
And you got to go out there. You got a whole pitching staff, Charlton, and you have a bullpen. You pitch everybody. You don't worry about Game 7.
Yeah.
You take care of Game 6. If you're required to use 8 pitches tonight, you use 8 pitches.
Yeah.
But you want to get to the chance, Charlton, where you don't have to face Game 7.
Yeah.
But if Game 7 comes about, you do the same recycling of those pitches, Charlton.
Yeah.
This is a chance you don't want to let get away when you're gunning for the World Series.
Yeah.
When you have an opponent down, and especially you're playing in their home stadium, Charlton, and if there's 2 more games to be played, they're both going to be in Milwaukee. Milwaukee wins tonight, they'll have all that momentum, Charlton.
Yeah, we know that the Dodgers is really big for them. Everybody is talking about LeBron James, but it's the Dodgers trying to get to the World Series. If the Lakers can get that far into the NBA Finals, that'll be a story in itself. Big C, I want to kick the ball off with some college football. I know you good old boys down south love football as much as anything. Tonight, the Air Force Academy's at UNLV, and then Colorado State's at Boise State. Those are big games in the Mountain West, and that's an ESPN2 for Boise State, and then our CBS Sportsnet for Air Force at UNLV. I want to get to the big game right away in the Big Ten. On Saturday, Jim Harbaugh, number 7 Michigan, the Wolverines 6-1 at Michigan State, their rival 4-2. That's a noontime kickoff on Fox Sports. Michigan's favored by 7 on the road. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's a grass game also when you go to East Lansing.
Yeah.
So that's something you have to worry about. Playing on grass when you're a turf team. At this time of the year, the weather's going to be a little chilly. The grass is going to be a little slick. But Michigan also has dominated Charlton. We're winning 7 of the last 9 games. Michigan State has.
Yeah.
So they're not concerned about Michigan. Michigan was in this position a couple of years ago.
That's right.
When they let a punt be blocked late in the game, Charlton, in return for a touchdown. He didn't get blocked. He just fumbled the ball.
Yeah.
And knocked Michigan out of any contention, Charlton. So they have to protect against any mental lapses in this game.
Yeah.
Michigan, it should be a better team with Shea Patterson at quarterback, Charlton. Their offense seems to be clicking. They have a solid run game.
Yep.
But Michigan can't lay down because Michigan State is no longer the little brother in Michigan any longer.
No more. Speaking of little brother, you think about the quarterback that they backed up last year. Baker Mayfield took off, and now they get a new kid that's maybe even up for a Heisman Trophy contention. Number 10, Oklahoma. They're 5-1. Man, they got to be hating the fact that they gave up a game at Texas Big C, the Red River Showdown, and they're at TCU now. At one time, TCU was a threat to win that Big 12, but they're only 3-3. That's a noontime kickoff. ABC Sports. Big C. Oklahoma's favored by 8. They might be up by 8 by halftime. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, they could be up by 8 at the end of the first quarter. TCU has lost their mojo on offense, Charlton.
Yep.
They haven't stopped anybody as of late. They've gotten in a couple of shootouts in the past couple of weeks and come out on the short end of it. I mean, ever since that Ohio State game that they lost, Charlton, they've been seeming going downhill because they turned around, they lost to Texas, they lost to Texas Tech, Charlton. This is a team that just doesn't have an identity right now. Kyler Murray has had a great game every game this season, even in the Red River Shootout, Charlton.
Yeah.
He puts up 43 points as a quarterback, Charlton. He throws for 400 yards. He rushes for over 100 yards. He doesn't play defense.
No.
But this Oklahoma team, Charlton, they fired their defensive coordinator a couple of weeks ago. Maybe they've gotten their mojo back on that side of the ball. And they got to learn how to tackle as defensive backs. That's one of the things. We talked about high school football earlier.
Yep.
How these kids are watching the guys in the NFL and even in college. Defensive backs don't tackle anymore, Charlton. They try to wrap up. They try to keep their jerseys and pants clean. They want to make sure that you think about it. If you don't strap on your gloves and you drag somebody, that glove comes off, he's still running. So, back in the days, Charlton, when I played, I played with some guys that were nasty.
Yes.
They had attitude.
Yep.
They didn't care who you were. They might hit your kids if you brought them to the game.
Yeah, that was in practice, too. Yep, even in practice.
So, the game has changed. I know they say that you try to make it safer.
Yeah.
But tackling is tackling, Charlton. And that's one of the fundamentals that's being lost in football.
Yeah, it's been lost for sure, Big C. Illinois 3-3 at number 19, Wisconsin. That's a noontime kickoff on Fox Plus 1. Wisconsin is favored by 24. Actually, number 21 is Cincinnati. They are 6-0 at 4-3 Temple. That's a noontime kickoff. And Temple is favored by 3. It doesn't make any sense that Cincinnati's ranked number 21. They're undefeated, but Temple's favored by 3. Is there some Las Vegas shenanigans going on, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's something that the pollsters have something to do with. If you recall, Cincinnati opened up the season out on the West Coast, beating up on UCLA.
Yeah.
And they've run the table ever since. But, here's a team that's 6-0 and can't make it into the top 20, top 15, Charlton, in the country.
Yeah.
You have losses with teams with 2 losses.
Yep.
And they're in the top 20.
Yeah.
And they say, well, it's the strength of schedule. The strength of schedule is called winning.
Yep.
It doesn't make any difference. Ask Alabama.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me that Alabama said, okay, we got a strength of schedule after their first 3 games of the season. They play games against teams that played against high school.
Yeah. Yep, that's true, Big C. I want to say another big game. It doesn't look big, but it could be. Maryland's 4-2. They're at number 22, Iowa. Iowa's 5-1, and that's a noontime kickoff, ESPN2. Iowa's favored by 9 at home. I love how they have that hospital where they wave at all the kids that are going through some issues. That's one of the greatest scenes in college football. Just give me your thoughts on how you mix community with the fan base, Big C. They do it better than anybody. Your thoughts on Iowa?
Charlton, that's the most heartwarming scene in all of college football. And it's not just that game, it's every game. That these children that are going through life struggles get an opportunity to have a free view of a college football game, Charlton, every Saturday.
Yeah.
That is one of the most humanitarian things that you can ever do, regardless of what your political outlook, Charlton, your social outlook is. The children are first, and how you care for them is how you should always care for any child that you see.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing. The Hawkeyes do it very well. Auburn 4-3 at Mississippi 5-2. That game is noontime kickoff, ESPN. Auburn's favored by 3.5. You have Miami, Ohio 3-4 at Army 4-2. Noontime on CBS Sports Network. Army's favored by 7. Big C, your friends, Alabama ranked number 1 again, 7-0. They're at Tennessee 3-3. Moonshine State. Tennessee smelling themselves, Big C. That's a 3:30 kickoff on CBS Sports. Alabama's only favored by 28.5, Big C. Does that cause you concern, Big C? 28.5.
Well, Charlton, this could be an upset alert game. I'm serious. Here's Tennessee that is reeling after coming off this victory against Auburn last week.
Yep.
They went out and outdid themselves.
Yeah.
And, this is a team, Auburn, who handled Alabama last year.
Yep.
So, and you got to understand that the coach at Tennessee was the defensive coordinator at Alabama for the last several years.
Yeah.
So, he understands this team. There's some question of whether Torrey is healthy enough to play, but they're going to play him. But, this is a game that Jalen Hurts may take most of the snaps.
Yeah.
So that passing attack may not be intact. And when we saw the pass rush from Tennessee last week being all over Jared Stidham, this is something that should concern Alabama. I don't think they'll cover the spread, Charles.
Well, Big C, that's a good game to watch, Big C. I'm telling you, number 15, North Carolina State, they are 5-0. And they're a quiet 5-0 because they're ranked 15th with a 5-0 record. They're at number 3, Clemson, 6-0. That's a 3:30 kickoff on ESPN. Clemson's favored by 17.5. This North Carolina State team reminds me a lot of Syracuse. Clemson was also a favorite big, and they won by the skin of their teeth in the last minute of the game. Could we see a similar type game, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is one of those games where, when you look at Clemson, they've had trouble this year with throwing quarterbacks.
Yep.
Well, when you look at what Dungy did for Syracuse against Clemson, they had problem defending the pass. You're going to get that same type of game out of Finley at North Carolina State. He's a Boise State transfer, Charlton. He's developed into one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC.
Yep.
Clemson, they have run over some people, Charlton. But they haven't faced a ranked team since they played Texas A&M, and they squeaked by in that Texas A&M game, Charlton.
Yeah, they sure did.
Now they're playing another ranked team in North Carolina State, and the winner of this game, Charlton, has the insight on the ACC title and a berth in the college playoff system.
That's very true, Big C. Another team, if you think about the Pac-12, number 25 Colorado saw their national championship playoff hopes smashed last week at USC, where they were blown out really easily at the Coliseum by the Trojans. They're 5-1. Now they're on the road again at number 14 Washington, 5-2. That's a 3:30 kickoff on Fox Sports. Washington's favored by 16. They had everything they wanted and a chance to beat a great Oregon team last week. But as Big C Sports predicted, I think they were the only ones that said Oregon would win that game. That knocked Washington out of the national championship hopes. They still have an outside slim chance at a Pac-12 North championship. Big C, how important is this game for the Huskies with Jake Browning, the Heisman Trophy candidate? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's beyond important. The thing that I don't understand is Washington has 2 losses.
Yep.
They're ranked number 14 in the country. Colorado last week was in the top 25 before they lost to USC. They're out of the top 25.
Yeah.
So you have 2 losses, you ranked in the top 15. You have 1 loss, you ranked out of the top 25.
Yeah.
So, this is one of those games that Washington has to win to keep their Pac-12 hopes alive. Their playoffs, chances have been doused, Charlton.
Yeah.
But I don't see Colorado just laying over for Washington to allow them to still stay in the hunt for the conference title. Colorado's in hunt for the conference title.
Yep.
So this is a desperate game for both teams.
Yep.
Jake Browning hasn't played that great this season, Charlton. He reminds me a lot of Jamal Love, the running back from Stanford.
Yeah.
A lot of accolades coming into the season, but a little short on delivery.
That's a very good point, Big C. I want to get your thoughts on a game that's kind of the opposite side of the sports world. When you look at Minnesota, they're 3-3. They're a solid 3-3. They're at Nebraska 0-6. And that's a 3:30 kickoff on the Big Ten Network. Nebraska's favored by 3. I don't see it. They haven't won a game, and they're playing a Minnesota team that's played decent, but they've also played the heart of the Big Ten schedule. Give me your thoughts. Does Nebraska have a chance to get their first win? I don't see it, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they had the game last week at Northwestern. They should have won that game.
Yeah.
Just did some bad coaching decisions at the end, something that let Northwestern get back into that game. Scott Frost still hasn't gotten a full grasp of this team, but they can be competitive. I think he went in and challenged his players to man up, to just stop taking the easy road. They proved that they can be competitive against Northwestern.
Yep.
Minnesota's a much better team than what people give them credit for, Charlton. And it's going to be a tough game for them. They're a cold weather team just like Nebraska.
Yep.
But they're more accustomed to winning than what Nebraska is this season. I got to go with Minnesota, Charlton.
Yeah, I agree with you on that pick, Big C. Just a couple of more games in college football. You have Cal Berkeley 3-3 at Oregon State 1-5. That's a 4 p.m. kickoff on the Pac-12 network. Cal's favored by 7. They really have been disappointed lately. Mississippi State 4-2. At number 5, LSU 6-1. 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN, and that's LSU's favorite by 6.5. Orgeron is probably the least successful coach in college football, especially for the good old boys down south. How big is this game for him, Big C? Your thoughts?
It's huge, but they're led by Joe Burrow, their quarterback, Charlton, who's done a tremendous job, the Ohio State transfer. He has a full grasp and command of this offense. He has teammates that respect him. This is one of the things that LSU has lacked was leadership. On the flip side, Mississippi State has Fitzpatrick. Everybody thought that he would be a Heisman favorite coming into the season. Just hasn't panned out for him, Charlton. He's been up and down as the season has gone on. Mississippi State is a much talented team, Charlton.
Yep.
But LSU is even more talented.
A team that you really like, number 9, Central Florida, Big C. They haven't lost a game in the last year and a half. They're 6-0. They're only ranked number 9. At East Carolina, 2-4. 7 o'clock kickoff, ESPN2. University of Central Florida is favored by 21.5, and a lot of people thought it was Scott Frost that helped them win last year. They're very talented, Big C. Your thoughts?
Mackenzie Milton, Charlton, the unknown secret in college football, a tremendous quarterback that has led his team to 19 consecutive victories, Charlton. They won't make the playoffs. You know why? Because they're not in the Power 5.
Yeah.
And the NCAA is not going to upset the apple cart, even if they're one of only 2 undefeated teams, Charlton, left at the end of the season, they would still not make the playoffs. You think about that. There will be 4 teams that are in front of them when it comes down to the final ranking. Central Florida can't get higher than number 5 in the polls.
Yeah.
But they're going to dominate this game this weekend, Charlton, and win it.
I tell you what, I look forward to seeing if they run the table, will they get jobbed for the second year in a row. Another coach that's undefeated, South Florida, Charlie Strong, 6-0. They are ranked number 20. They're 6-0, Big C. They're ranked number 20. They're playing 1-5 Connecticut. That game's at South Florida. 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. Central Florida, actually USF is favored by 34 points. Really would love to see Strong get into a big bowl game. The big game on the West Coast. Number 11, Oregon, 5-1. At number 23, Washington State, 5-1. That game is Saturday night, 7:30 kickoff on Fox Sports. And Washington State is favored by 3. I remember last year Southern California was undefeated. They went up into the Palouse, and they got knocked off. I don't think this Oregon team gets knocked off, but it's a close game. To go up there and win, it's a game you really got to be on your P's and Q's, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Washington State is a better team than people give them credit for. They haven't won 3-point loss game this year to USC. So they're very competitive. And they got some guys who have developed under Mike Leach up there in the Northwest. They have the nation's leading passer. And you think about that. A lot of talk is given to Justin Herbert at Oregon.
Yeah.
But Washington State in the same conference as the nation's leading passers, yardage-wise.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a shootout in the air.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to the trenches. Can one of these teams get a running back over 100 yards stopping to make a difference in this game?
That'll be important. Stanford 20-13 last night over Arizona State. Arizona State used to host a Super Bowl at Tempe Stadium. They used to host, I think, the Sun Bowl. They used to host a lot of games, at least the Fiesta Bowl, Big C. They've taken that stadium from about 72,000. It now hosts 56,000. They've taken out some of the end zone seating because it gets so hot in the desert. They needed that breeze to come through. It looks more like a college environment, but they give up about 20,000 seats. Big C, is that a trend in your thoughts?
Well, I don't know if it's a trend, Charlton. It's not a trend here in the South where everybody's expanding.
Adding on. Yeah.
It may be a trend in the West because when you look at the mentality, football in the South is a part of life.
Religion.
It's like church used to own Sunday.
Yeah.
And the NFL bought it away from them. They did a land grab on them for some reason.
Yeah.
Nothing away from them.
Yeah.
College football took away picnic time.
Yeah.
Families used to get together for picnics and barbecues on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's all about college football in the South, Charlton. You have your barbecues during basketball season in the rain and the snow.
Yeah.
But during the summer and the spring, Charlton, you're watching football.
Yeah.
And so you're expanding, and you're trying to get more and more people into those arenas, Charlton. Everywhere you look in the South, it's hard to find the stadiums really under 70,000.
Yeah.
And there's so many 100,000 seat stadiums down here in this region, Charlton, that, it just blows people away. But, 82 to 85,000 is the average size of a stadium down here in the South.
Yep. It's a different culture, Big C. Couple of more games. Arizona 3-4 at UCLA 1-5 at 10:30 kickoff ESPN2. UCLA is favored by 9. Fresno State 5-1 under Jeff Teffert at New Mexico 3-3 at 7:30 kickoff ESPNU. And Trump was wondering if they could build a wall. It's like, no, it's university. Okay, so hopefully Trump doesn't get too excited about that game. They said he was going to attend. We'll finish up number 2, Ohio State, your friend, 7-0 at Purdue 3-3 at 7:30 kickoff ABC Sports. Ohio State's favored by 12. You really like their quarterback, Big C. Your thoughts?
Haskins Charlton is just a marvel. As well as he has played this year, he still doesn't command the national stage as far as dominating quarterbacks. I mean, when you look at some lesser quarterbacks that were in last year's draft, none of them had the statistics that Dwayne Haskins has, Charlton, at this point in the season. Even the Heisman Trophy winner, Baker Mayfield, he was not as dominant as Haskins is, Charlton, this year. So, when you look at the media of how they look at players, Charlton, complexion plays a big role in it. People want to say it doesn't, but it does. When you look at these dominant quarterbacks, when you look at the Heisman balloting, Charlton, when you look at Tua, you look at Haskins, you look at Murray, these are 3 of the elitist quarterbacks in the country. But they probably would say only one of them potentially could play in the NFL, and that's Haskins. They probably say the others could not, Charlton.
Yeah, they always say that, Big C. I do want to jump up a little bit and cover what happened last night in the NBA. It was LeBron James' opening game up in Portland, where a lot of teams go up there and they get hat, Big C. The Lakers are the talk of the NBA this year, all because of King James. But when you go up and play Lillard and they have that crowd, I was disappointed in Portland's crowd. It seems like they were cheering up for a time, just turning my head, wondering when the Lakers scored a basket. They cheered almost as loud for the Lakers as they did for Portland. I've never seen that happen before, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, with the new kid coming to the West Coast and everybody happy to see him here, because they're going to see him more than once a year, Charlton, because he's in that Western Conference. You get to see him at least 4 times at home. But I think the emotion of the crowd and of the team last night, Charlton, was a part of paying tribute to the late Paul Allen. They gave a moment of silence prior to the game, Charlton. But Portland came out and delivered, in honor of their fallen owner. And that's what you do. To pay tribute, you pay tribute by hustling in sports. By giving it your all. And they went out and dominated the Lakers last night by 9 points, Charlton. Everybody thought when LeBron came to the West Coast that the Lakers would have a cakewalk. That they would be the second best team possibly in the West. Right now, they're in last place in the West, Charlton.
I'm sure that's not what LeBron James is looking forward to, especially with all the media hype, the hoopla coming out and people making sure that they get a chance to see what's going on with the Lakers. But we'll run down more NBA as it gets into it, because right now there's a lot of people talking about the home game with LeBron James in LA at Staples Center. I think it's a must-see ticket for people in Los Angeles, obviously. But I'm still shocked that people haven't talked about voter obstruction in the South. I would just hate to see some of our greatest athletes, the most conscientious people, and LeBron James surely is one of them. But I would love to see some of them. I mean, a lot of African Americans come from the South. I'm sure there's some players that have lineage that goes into the southern states, especially Georgia, that play throughout the NBA. And they have none of them. I don't expect much from the broadcasters. A lot of them are just sycophants. But for some of the athletes that have stood strong on this social justice, 53,000 votes being obstructed, primarily in African American districts. And I hear nothing. And I would hope that LeBron James would say, Georgia, get out and vote. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you talk about the obstruction of votes, already they've thrown out 1,500 of those ballots, Charlton, because they said the signature didn't seem to match the signature on the person's ID. Now, I don't know if they're bringing in a handwriting forensic expert, Charlton, or is this just some old elderly person sitting there saying, I don't like the way their signature looks. At times, your signature may move a little bit. No signature is 100% every time, Charlton. Identical. So if they see any flaw in the one that's on your ID, and I don't know if anybody remembers the last time they went to the DMV and signed their signature. You normally sign it on some electronic pad. You're not signing it on a piece of paper as you do on a write-in ballot. So that write-in ballot, you normally have a larger space. And it's a clear print of your signature.
Yep.
Versus that one that's a copy that's put on your driver's license. Pull out your driver's license, take a look at it. You'll see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That was the one that was transplanted to that card. You didn't sign the actual card.
Yep.
So they're using that. And the thing about it, Charlton, in its voting suppression, is that when they throw out your ballot, they do not have to inform you that they throw out your ballot.
Yep.
That's a Southern rule in the Jim Crow states, Charlton. If they don't allow your ballot, they can throw it away without notifying you to give you an opportunity to come in and remedy what they're saying.
That's an incredible Big C. So hopefully, we just need a couple, like the Marines say, all we need is a few good, conscientious men. In the CFL up in Canada, we love you, oh, Canada. The CFL is getting ready for the playoffs next week. And in the East Division, Ottawa is leading the top. With Hamilton, number 2, they both clinched playoff spots, followed by Montreal and Toronto. In the Western Division, you have Calgary, Saskatchewan, they both clinched playoff spots, and they're followed up by Winnipeg and Edmonton. They're playing Hamilton at Ottawa tonight, and Edmonton at British Columbia. Saturday's game is Montreal at Toronto, and Saskatchewan at Calgary. Big C, I want to run down and say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Benemark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. Big C in the world of the NFL. Before we even get to the NFL, I know you own a lot of restaurants, a lot of chains of restaurants down in the South. Do you have Big C special tailgate barbecue recipe that the good old boys can line up around the block for? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you know, you come around the block. The recipe I'm not giving out.
Okay.
You know,
I almost got you.
We have a cash register there.
Yeah.
And the recipe is on the back of those greenbacks that you put in there.
That's funny, Big C. I thought you was doing beans like KFC did back in the day. I want to run down for Big C's big tailgating barbecue bash at the restaurants down south. The NFL, Week 7. The Titans 3-3 versus the Chargers 4-2. That game is 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time Sunday on CBS Sports. Big C, they're also going across the pond. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, when you look at the Chargers, Charlton, they got one of the better young, aggressive defenses in the NFL. Phillip Rivers has just been playing outstanding.
Yeah.
And you got a team in Tennessee that last year could only get 40 snaps at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So their offense could not even get on the field, and their quarterback was sacked 11 times, one short of the NFL record. So this is a team that I don't think they recovered from the butt whipping that they took against Baltimore last week, John.
Yep.
And they might get a lightning bolt shot at them across the water.
Right on cue, Big C. Chargers are favored by 7 across the pond. Hopefully they'll clean up some of those beer cans that the Raider Black Hole left over there when they were over there just last week, Big C. We want to keep detente good for the United States. And England, Big C, the Browns 2-3-1 at the Buccaneers 2-3. 1:00 p.m. kickoff Eastern Time Sunday on Fox Sports. And Big C, the Buccaneers are favored by 3, even though the wheels have come off a little bit for the Buccaneers. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you got 2 former Heisman Trophy winners that had a checkered college past about getting in trouble.
Yep.
That are desperate for a win in the NFL. And they both had multiple turnovers in the last week's game.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to clean up those turnovers, Charlton. Baker Mayfield has come down to earth. Teams have film on him, Charlton.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston, I expect him to outdo Baker Mayfield in this game, Charlton.
Yeah.
But Baker Mayfield, he's going to have a new running back this week. They traded Carlos Hyde to Jacksonville.
That was bizarre.
So, you know, maybe they'll put Nick Chubb in the backfield, who showed a lot of promise in the games that he's played.
Very well said. Big C, the Patriots 4-2 at the Bears 3-2. That game is Sunday, 1:00 p.m. kickoff Eastern Time Sunday on CBS Sports. The Patriots are favored by 3.5 at Chicago. I know Chicago has a great defense, but offensively, that's their liability. Your thoughts on the great Tom Brady versus Khalil Mack?
Well, Charlton, that is their Achilles heel, is their offense. I mean, we've seen the quarterback Trubisky have 9 touchdown passes in his last 2 games. But we also saw this defense in New England last week hold Rick Mahomes in check. Well, Patrick Mahomes in check, Charlton. And he's a much better quarterback than Trubisky, who was taken in the same draft.
Yep.
Now, if they played true to form, Charlton, there's no chance. But, you know, when you look at Khalil Mack, Charlton, and you look at Tom Brady, he has faced every great pass rusher in NFL history, seemed like.
Yep.
For the last 17 years, he's faced them all. I mean, Von Miller, he's faced him on several occasions, Charlton. He doesn't fear a pass rusher.
No.
You're talking about a quarterback who can move 2 to 3 steps to one side, Charlton, to avoid the pass rush. He has a receiving core right now that's maturing.
Yeah.
That's the biggest fear for anybody facing the New England Patriots. And that running game has become very solid for the first time in a decade.
Yep, that's true, Big C. Big C, only you would know this. The Buffalo Bills 2-4 at the Indianapolis Colts 1-5. And that game is Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time kickoff on CBS Sports. The Colts are favored by 7.5. I got to ask you, Big C, in the world of eatery, Big C, what tastes better, a buffalo or a Colt? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, I can make some tremendous prime rib out of that buffalo. But this game, Chopper, sounds more like a rodeo than a football game.
Yeah, it does.
When you think about the Beatles and the Colts. But, you know, here's a game that Andrew Luck may have a quarterback that he can finally outdo.
Yeah.
You think about it, the Buffalo Bills felt that the quarterback that they had on their roster was so inept that they could go out and sign a quarterback that was laying on his couch, hasn't played in 7 years,
Yep.
and he starts over the guy that you've had on your roster for the last couple seasons.
Yeah.
And it started games in the past 2 seasons.
That's incredible.
So that lets you know the disarray that this Buffalo Bills offense is in. I mean, they've won 2 games this year, Charlton. And when you talk about that old adage, smoke and mirrors,
yeah,
they've used that to win those 2 games. I don't see them having a chance against Andrew Luck and the Colts this weekend, Charlton.
Yeah, that's a good point, Big C. The Texans 3-3 at the Jaguars 3-3. Something has to give, Big C. That's a Sunday kickoff, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on CBS Sports. The Jaguars are favored by 5. I know that game's in Jacksonville, so maybe the heat and humidity might play a role. But offensively, I like Texas offense, and the Jacksonville defense seems to be a little like they disappeared, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I don't know if you've ever been down to Houston, but the humidity gets kind of hot.
But they play in the dome. They play in the dome, though, Big C.
But you know, you think about this game.
Yeah.
The Jacksonville Jaguars just made a trade with the Cleveland Browns for a running back because Larry Fournette has been out.
Yeah.
You make a trade for a running back when you got a quarterback, Charlton, that can't play.
Isn't that crazy?
That proves that they don't have any trust in Blake Bortles.
Yep.
That you go out and you get a running back and bring him in, that you're not comfortable with the people that you have, and you're not comfortable with the quarterback being able to control the tempo of the game.
Yep.
I think Houston is waking up. Their defense can play with Jacksonville. But Jacksonville, when you look at their defense, they've given up 70 points in the last 2 games, Charlton. They're not striking fear at anybody.
No.
They've shown that they can be thrown on. Houston has a much better receiving core than the Dallas Cowboys, Charlton.
Yep.
It's equal to the Kansas City Chiefs. So this could be Deshaun Watson's coming out party this season.
That's a very good point, Big C. A game that's intriguing. The Carolina Panthers, they seem like they've lost their mojo. They're 3-2. They're at the Eagles 3-3. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff Eastern Time, Sunday on Fox Sports. The Eagles are favored by 5. In actuality, a Panther would maul an Eagle, and we know that. But in this game, the Eagle might actually maul the Panther. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, you look at the Eagles, they're kind of beat up, Charlton. They're not a healthy team, and that's what's being used as the excuse. You know, Jason Peters has a torn bicep. Even though he is going to play in this game, Charlton, his running game has been in disarray with the Eagles. Their defense really hasn't stopped anybody this year, Charlton. They've been very vulnerable. So this is one of those games that Cam Newton has to prove his worth. McCaffrey had a very lackluster performance offensively last week, Charlton. You know, Alex Smith had a good game against this team. Alex Smith is healthy, though. You know, you haven't seen that mobility out of Carson Wentz yet this season, Charlton.
Yeah.
So if they put enough pressure on him, Charlton, they may be able to force him into a couple turnovers.
Big C, the Lions 2-3 at the Dolphins 4-2. We know a lion would maul a dolphin unless they fought in the ocean. Okay, that'd be the Dolphins' only chance. But this game is going to be played on land. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff Eastern Time Sunday on Fox Sports, and the Lions are favored by 3. And it looks like this is the same Dolphin team. They got out of the blocks until they got humbled by New England. Can they find their mojo? They found it against the Bears, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well didn't the odds makers realize Brock Osweiler was quarterback in the Charlton?
Yeah.
350 yards last week, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I really like the Dolphins in this game, Charlton, because Osweiler has no pressure on him.
No.
And that's one of the greatest things. He went out against the Bears. You think about it. Everybody is talking about the Bears' defense this week against Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Tom Brady probably called Brock Osweiler and said, tell me what to do.
Yep, that's true. That's a very good point. If they can beat the Bears defense, I think they'll have an easier time with the Lions defense, Big C. The Vikings 3-1, and your cousin in the 3-1 at the Jets, a 1 o'clock kickoff Eastern Time Sunday on Fox Sports. The Vikings are actually favored by 3.5 going into New York, New Jersey. Want to get your thoughts on, do you think they can handle them? Because the Vikings are inconsistent. We know that. But this is a game where they do have a veteran quarterback in Cousins, even though he's highly overpaid. But he might be a lot better off than Darnold. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, the thing with the Vikings, even though Cousins gets all the press off, and it comes down to the running game.
Yeah.
If you look at their victory last week, they dominated on the ground. That's been the Vikings' Achilles heel. When they haven't won, Charles, they've had no ground attack. The Jets have been up and down. Corwell has had a 200-yard game this season, one of two of them in the NFL, along with Gurley.
Yeah.
They need to get him on track. This Vikings defense hasn't been what it was last season, Charles, due to injury and other things that have occurred.
Yeah.
But they need to control the ground game if they look to have any chance against the Vikings. If they can get 120 yards on the ground, and I'm talking about the Jets,
yeah,
they can win this game, Charles.
Big C, that's a good game to watch and see who's going to turn the tide there. The Saints 4-1 at the Ravens 4-2. What a game it lines up to be. A 4:05 kickoff Eastern Time Sunday on CBS Sports. And the Ravens are actually favored by 2.5. Now, I know the Ravens defense can be good. Their offense can be up and down. But the Saints can win anywhere. And I'm just be surprised if Drew Brees doesn't find a way to pull it out because he's more consistent than Flacco, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, he's going to be without one of his top weapons. Ted Ginn Jr. has just been put on IR with a knee injury. But when you look at these two teams, the New Orleans Saints are number one in the NFL in offense.
Yep.
The Baltimore Ravens are number one in the NFL in defense. Drew Brees has played against every team in the NFL, Charlton, all 32 of them. You know the only team he hasn't beaten?
Who's that?
Has been the Baltimore Ravens in his career.
Really?
He has won against 31 teams, and his number 32 is sitting there in the Baltimore Ravens, Charlton. So this is the only team that he has not beaten in his career. But Drew Brees right now is wielding a hot hand, Charlton, completing almost 80% of his passes, which is unheard of.
Yep.
He is not going to be the target that Marcus Mariota was last week for this Ravens defense, not getting rid of the ball. Drew will get rid of the ball in 3 steps. And now that he has the full complements of running back with Ingram and Kamara, Charlton,
yeah,
he is even more dangerous than what he was at the start of the season.
Yeah.
The Ravens has Collins, who's an outstanding running back, but Joe Flacco hasn't strung together 2 consistent games yet this season, Charlton.
No, I agree with that. I like the Saints. I like their offense because Drew Brees doesn't turn the ball over. Their defense is actually pretty decent, but there's something about having, if you're in the 2-minute warning and you're down by 4, say 28-24, who do you trust if you're fantasy football? Do you want Flacco driving 80 yards or Drew Brees driving 80 yards? We'll see what happens on Sunday. Big C. How about them Cowboys? 3-3 at the Redskins 3-2. That game is Sunday at 4:25 kickoff Eastern Time on CBS Sports. And the Redskins are favored by 1.5. That might be some snake oil because the Cowboys, they put a whipping on Jacksonville. They may have found their confidence, but we'll see. When you're at home sometimes, those division games, you may get some home field cooking. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you got to realize Dallas is 0-3 on the road this year, Charlton, and the Redskins are just coming off a hard-fought victory against Carolina last week. Alex Smith is always a much better quarterback than he'll ever get credit for in his NFL career.
Yeah.
His only hindrance right now is his head coach, Jay Gruden.
Yeah.
But, they found a running game part-time with Adrian Smith. Adrian Peterson.
Yes.
If he can have a decent game, you know that Dallas is going to rely heavily on Ezekiel Elliott. He needs to touch the ball 25, 30 times a game for them to win, running and receiving.
Yeah.
Cole Beasley had an outstanding game at receiver last week, 2 touchdowns, Johnson. Dallas lost Tavon Austin.
Yep.
He's going to be out for 3 or 4 weeks, so they're down some in their receiving core. So, Dallas is going to be struggling on the road. They're 0-3. I do like Washington at home.
Well, speaking of liking someone at home, I want to look at last night. Big C, what was that? We told people that Rosen needs to sit the bench for maybe the first year and learn behind somebody. But the fact they bring him in, a rookie out of UCLA, and they're starting him. We said he was a liability. He was beaten up like he was a rag doll. The Broncos went in there and beat him 45-10. He had so many turnovers. He looks horrible he looks so bad he cost the offensive coordinator his job. Give me your thoughts on why do they look so bad, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, here it is. This team had 6 turnovers offensively. You think about that, 6. But you blame offensive coordinator. 2 of those turnovers started interceptions or returned for touchdowns.
Yep.
You throw them to the defensive player, that's his job to take it back the other direction.
Yep.
But, here's a team that had this quarterback beat up. I mean, a lot of those blocking schemes fall upon the offensive lineman, but also you depend on the quarterback to get the ball out on time, Charles.
Yeah.
And that's just what hasn't occurred. Josh Rosen, no game this year, Charlton, has he completed 50% of his passes.
Wow.
So you can't say that he's ready if he can't complete 50% of his passes in the NFL. The only bright spot in that game last night, Charlton, for the Cardinals was Larry Fitzgerald catching his 111th touchdown pass, tying Tony Gonzalez for 16th place all-time in the NFL.
Wow.
Both of them surefire Hall of Famers. Tony Gonzalez will be there quicker than Larry Fitzgerald. Both of them will be first ballot Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at Denver, we talked about Case Keenum being able to get the job done, that he needed to have a solid game. And he did that last night for the Broncos, Charlton, and they got back on the winning track.
Yeah, it's amazing. They were talking about firing the Broncos coach. Like, why do the black American coaches, every time they lose a game, people say, we need to fire the coach? Like, why fire?
But think about Mike McCoy, Charlton, that the Cardinals fired. This guy now is collecting paychecks from 3 teams, Charlton.
Yeah.
He's collecting a paycheck from Denver. He's collecting a paycheck from San Diego. And now he's collecting a paycheck from Arizona, and he doesn't even have to work.
Doesn't even have to work, basically. It's just let the teams play out their season. If you're going to fire people, that would seem to be at the end of the year, not halfway through, Big C. I want to get your thoughts on what might be the best football offense that we've seen, at least in the last decade. In the NFC, you look at the Rams, they are 6-0. They're the only undefeated team left in the NFL. They're at the 49ers 1-5. And there's no news yet that he's going to give back some of that money, which would be the right thing to do, so they could put it in the pockets of people who play, who are healthy enough to play, and don't turn the 49ers into what Andrew Luck did with the Indianapolis Colts. He took up all the money. There's nothing left to give anybody else. And the 49ers, who put all their money into one guy who's always hurt, who's never won anything long term, and he doesn't even have the decency to say, you know what, guys, let's restructure my deal because maybe you can do what Jacksonville just did. Go out and get some players, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they desperately needed some help. I mean, Beathard did an admirable job last week in Green Bay. He threw Aaron Rodgers toe-to-toe. But he doesn't have a supporting cast. The running game was there a little bit, but that defense couldn't stop anybody in San Francisco. And that's their Achilles heel right now, Charlton. The defensive line probably had their best game of the year. But Aaron Rodgers is now a drop-back quarterback.
Yeah.
That was the difference in that game. You're going to be facing a guy who was highly mobile in Jared Goff.
Yeah.
You got an outstanding running back in Todd Gurley, something that Green Bay didn't have, to totally keep you off balance. So now that play fake, Charlton, that Jared Goff gives to you while those receivers are running open down the seam, that's going to be the difference in the game. Is that running game with Todd Gurley dominating at the line of scrimmage. And I think this defensive line will get a lot more pressure on Beathard than what Green Bay did, Charlton, and the Rams will just dominate.
Yeah, but I still want to ask you one more time, Big C, because I think people don't realize that what we're seeing, you can Google it, there have been a lot of quarterbacks who say, pay me less so we can win. Tom Brady did that. We talk about Garoppolo and Brady and some knuckleheads. They changed their tune lately. We've been consistent all along. You can Google that too. They were saying that Belichick was a knucklehead for not trading Brady and keeping Garoppolo. Well, what did Belichick know? He knows something that Big C Sports been telling you all year long. Garoppolo's going to be a bust with the 49ers. He's gotten so much money, he doesn't have the desire anymore. And he never was that great because you can't tell me where he won anything. Okay? He won't do what Brady did. Brady would never take $137 million because he knows that would cripple the Patriots. If there's any quarterback in the history of the NFL universe worth $137 million, it would be Brady. But Brady's backup went to San Francisco, and because the ownership is a sycophant to the great white hype, they overpaid him and they broke the team. Just give me that thought on the mentality. Why won't Brady demand $137 million, but Garoppolo does, and he has no Super Bowls? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charles, what amazes me the most is no one addresses that issue anymore. All the media is saying that the Patriots made a mistake. That, Brady made a power move. That, Garoppolo had to go. No, he didn't make a power move, Charles. But here it is. When Garoppolo was traded last year,
yep.
What did Tom Brady end up doing? He became the NFL MVP once again, okay?
Yep.
Took his team to the Super Bowl, even though he wasn't playing defense and they lost. They lost by 8. But he also set a Super Bowl record for yardage, Charles. So, everything that you would ask of a quarterback, he did last season and in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo went and gave some people some fluff because the 49ers won their last 5 games.
Yep.
He came out at the start of the season, Charles, guns are blazing, and they lost. Okay?
Yeah.
He couldn't beat anybody.
Nope.
Then he goes down. You think about it. Jimmy Garoppolo's salary this season is $37 million.
Wow.
$37 million. Tom Brady's salary this year is $20 million.
Yep.
But the media was all about that the Patriots made a mistake in letting Garoppolo go because he was their future.
Yeah.
What future do the 49ers have right now?
Nothing.
They have the future, Charlton, of having a top 10 draft pick.
Yep.
Maybe even a top 5 draft pick. That's what's in their future this year. But they will draft in the top 10.
Yeah.
New England will draft no higher than 30. Okay?
Yeah.
Think about that. They will draft no higher than 30, and the 49ers will draft in the top 10, and everybody is saying that New England made a mistake in letting Garoppolo go instead of trading Brady.
No, Belichick knows they're doing. Big C, 2 more games in the last 5 minutes. The Bengals 4-2 at the Chiefs 5-1. 2 great quarterbacks, Dalton and Mahomes. That game is in Kansas City Arrowhead. It's an 8:20 p.m. kickoff, Eastern Time Sunday on NBC Sports, and the great Al Michaels and Collinsworth are doing the play-by-play. The Chiefs are actually favored by 6. What a great game. 2 great quarterbacks. There's something about that Chiefs defense if they can shore it up. But also, I think they were jobbed a little bit in New England by their own players, but not tackling, Big C. Keep your players out of Vegas. Give me your thoughts on the Chiefs make a comeback, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they have to bounce back from this game if they hope to keep their momentum alive. I mean, they've shown that they can score against anybody in any situation.
Yeah.
When you look at these 2 teams, both of these teams, Charlton, lost their games in the last minute of the game. So they had 59 solid minutes of football on both sides.
Yep.
I think that the Bengals might be a little beat up, Charlton, after that physical confrontation with Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That always bothers you when they come out of a game against Pittsburgh. Who's healthy? Where are they going to be momentum-wise?
Yeah.
I think the speed, though, that Kansas City brings to the game is a lot like what they saw last week with Pittsburgh, with those plethora of receivers all over the place, and they're hard to cover.
Yeah.
And so that makes it even more and more difficult for you. But Mahomes' mobility creates a problem for anybody.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton doesn't have his starting tight end. His running backs have been a little beat up. Mixon played a decent game, but it did that knee hold up against the Steelers. I like Kansas City.
Big C, final game, Monday Night Football. The 1-5 Giants at the Falcons, 2-4. 8:15 kickoff Eastern Time. Monday Night Football, ESPN, and the Falcons are favored by 6. I know there's been so much talk about the Mayer family, and they're telling Odell Beckham, hey, just shut up and play. But they didn't tell their kicker, that was Josh Brown, that was beating his wife 20 times at the cops call. They didn't say stop beating your wife, but they come out against an African-American player. They hit the white guy. So Beckham's father comes out and says, hey, focus on who's beating their wives. Don't worry about my son kicking the net, Big C. Get this media. In fact, get this sports universe. Odell Beckham kicks the net. People make a big story about it. The net, right? The kicking net. Brown beat his wife 20 times. He's white. There was no media outcry. The Mayer family even hid her in a different hotel in Hawaii. Such hypocrisy, Big C. Who gets this win?
Well, Charlton, the Mayer family never said anything about, Josh Brown beating up his wife. the media has never talked about that story in detail. They still bring up Ray Rice in Baltimore.
Yeah.
But they don't talk about Brown.
Google it.
Beating up his wife.
Google it.
That's something that you don't want to talk about. You don't want to make a white football player a violent person. You don't want to say that they have that type of MO talk. So the media never addresses that. But as you said, they'll talk about Odell Beckham punching a fan, hitting or kicking that Charlton, but not striking a woman.
Nope.
That's off the table. You can't talk about striking a woman coming from a white player.
Yeah.
But, here's the man family saying, concentrate on football. But that also, Charlton, that conversation is a deflection away from Eli.
Yep.
He goes out, he concentrates on football. It's just the football doesn't get to him. That's the thing. But, I got to think about this, Charlton, when they talk about Odell Beckham in the media.
Yeah.
Whether people want to agree or not. Who in the hell puts the stories out there? Who in the hell puts the mic in his face?
Yeah.
The media.
Yeah.
They're the ones doing that. Odell Beckham cannot talk to the media unless the media is standing there and want to hear what they say. In the last I checked, he wasn't the only receiver on the Giants.
No.
Ingram is there, Shepard is there, Saquon Barkley is there as a running back receiver.
Yeah.
They don't go talk to him. Matter of fact, when was the last damn time they interviewed Eli Manning? No one wants to interview Eli Manning because they don't want to put any undue pressure on Eli Manning through the media.
Yeah.
They don't want to make it look like he has a problem. Think about this. He is the only quarterback that you do not see on any of these sports shows being interviewed.
Yeah.
He is being protected by the media so that they don't have to ask him the hard questions, Charlton.
That's a very good question. And I just asked the sports universe to Google everything. And we talk about Black Lives Matter, and sometimes people say, well, all lives matter. So why does the media make so much noise over an African-American player kicking a net and making gyrations on the sideline to get his players pumped up? A lot of players do. Watch baseball players when they throw a strike. They pump their fists. They clench their fists. When Tom Brady throws a touchdown pass, he puts his fist in the air and shakes his hand. Everybody has some type of an emotional reaction. When an NBA player gets a dunk, he's doing a lot of gyrations, pumping his chest and showing his jersey. Black Lives Matter. Cover it fairly. Everybody can Google what we're talking about. And the last thing I want to bring up, Big C, this voter obstruction happening down south. It's a shame that Big C Sports is the only sports show in the universe talking about it. You got to make sure that people have the right to vote. That's more of a story than if somebody's punching a net. Big C. Back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C. What are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, with this NBA season underway, there's a game going on in Toronto tonight between the Raptors and the Celtics. These two teams, this should be a prelude for the Eastern Finals. And when you look at what Kawhi Leonard has already done, moving into that lineup there in Toronto, and they haven't missed a beat after winning the Eastern title last year, Charlton, Boston is trying to incorporate some past superstars into their lineup in Hayward and Irving.
Yep.
They're going to, cost those young players, Tatum and Rozier, a lot of playing time. But I'm looking forward to this outstanding battle in the NBA East tonight, Charles.
Well, Big C, it's really a sports universe. In fact, the sports universe is a smorgasbord from high school football, Friday Night Lights. We have college football. NBA is jumping off, Big C, of course. We love the NFL. It is all fair and love and war. Every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, as we always tell you, there's never, ever an excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.